When you take a look at the EV market for 2023, there's a growing list of options to choose from besides Tesla. You have the Ioniq 5, Kia EV6, Ford Mustang Mach-E, and Volkswagen ID.4. However, there seems to be something missing in the EV crossover market. And it's not practicality, it's not range, it's not a vehicle that's appealing and enticing to look at, and it's not necessarily a vehicle that's affordable. It's a crossover that can go off-road and take on winter road conditions. For most Americans, they feel EVs are not conducive for their lifestyles for a myriad of reasons. But more specifically for people who live in colder regions of the US, they're looking for an EV that's efficient, but also one that can take on winter road conditions and get you through those snowstorms throughout the year. And Subaru has the remedy for you with the all-new 2023 Subaru Solterra. As you can probably tell, we have plastic cladding up front, which really draws your attention immediately. Reminds me of what we see with the Forester and the Outback. But you can also probably tell that you have better ground clearance than what we see with the Ford Mustang Mach-E. And that's why I am here. I want to do a thorough walk around of the Subaru Solterra to see what this vehicle is offering to consumers at around $50,000. I also want to see why this vehicle is so enticing right now, especially at the beginning portion of 2023, and also see why, if you are looking at buying an EV and you want one that is adventurous and off-road worthy, then maybe taking a look at the Solterra might be a great decision. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Subaru of Wakefield in Wakefield, Massachusetts, for allowing me to do this review. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Subaru inventory. And speaking of inventory, Subaru of Wakefield is home to the largest selection of Subarus in New England. So if you are looking at buying a new car this time of year, but you're having difficulty finding a vehicle that you want due to the shortages, definitely check out Subaru of Wakefield because they have a wide selection of Foresters, Outbacks, Crosstreks, and Ascents, along with a wide selection of certified pre-owned vehicles as well. Also, before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you're notified every time a new video goes live on the channel. And so, without wasting any further time, let's get right in this review. For years, Subaru has taken the initiative to associate themselves with an outdoor lifestyle, a brand that delivers vehicles with the intention to get you closer to nature. And as a result, they have acquired a unique and loyal group of customers who are more environmentally conscious than those who choose other manufacturers. All that's been missing in the lineup is an EV that incorporates Subaru's best attributes while also being efficient and powered by alternative energy. In collaboration with Toyota, the all-new Solterra arrives at an inflection point where affordable EVs are beginning to hit the market. But this crossover isn't like the Ford Mustang Mach-E or Volkswagen ID.4, and in fact is the first of presumably many from Subaru that brings versatility and adventure to a segment that hasn't quite yet replaced the capability that conventional vehicles offer. Starting off with pricing, the Solterra we have today is the Limited, which starts at just under $48,500, and is the trim that sits between the Premium and Touring. While outwardly, this EV shares nothing in common with the Forester or Outback, its size and off-road capability compares very well, and in fact could likely entice buyers to trade in their internal combustion engine powered crossovers to purchase Subaru's first EV. With a length of 185 inches and a width of 73 inches, the Solterra outsizes the Forester by being 2 inches longer and an inch wider. However, the lower roofline adds a sportier aesthetic, yet doesn't have a negative impact on second row headroom. More important is the Solterra's class-leading 8.3 inches of ground clearance, making it the only EV crossover that can take on different types of terrain, while also having the versatility to tackle winter road conditions. Taking its position in the EV crossover market to heart, it's not just on paper where the Solterra makes it clear to car shoppers that this crossover is durable and adventurous, as the plastic molding found around the wheel arches integrates into the headlights and then flows into the front bumper. Unique to the Solterra is the LED fog lights, which the Toyota BZ4X doesn't offer, and this complements the full LED headlights to provide better visibility at night or during adverse weather conditions. Despite the lack of a front grille, there are active side air curtains to improve aerodynamics of this crossover, And compared to what we've seen in the EV market, it's the Solterra that looks the most conventional from many angles, appearing to be like the Toyota RAV4 or an upsized Subaru Crosstrek. Moving over to the side profile, the Limited will be sitting on 20-inch alloy wheels, with 18s coming standard for the Premium. Later this year, when more Solterras become available, we'll take this EV out on the road to see how the suspension and ride comfort is, especially when encountering uneven pavement and imperfections in the road in the Boston area. But it's likely for range, the 18s and the Premium might be the better choice. Adding a nice color contrast, gloss black side mirror caps bring a sportier vibe to the Solterra, and you'll have blind spot detection for added safety. Then coming around to the back, this is where the Solterra has a similar rear fascia to the Crosstrek, as the taillights do mimic the design and shape, with gloss black accents extending into the rear fender. While the Sportback roofline does give this EV a sleek look, you may notice that you won't be able to stack up as many items as you would with a more conventional looking crossover, and we'll get into the Solterra's practicality later on. To finish off the final third of this vehicle, plastic cladding will dominate the rear bumper, once again reiterating that the Solterra is a rugged and off-road capable EV crossover. For performance, the Solterra is powered by dual electric motors that produce 215 horsepower and 249 pound-feet of torque, and you'll have a range of around 220 miles on a full electric charge. While not a barnstormer in this segment, 0 to 60 times do come in just under 7 seconds. But when you analyze how Subaru approaches the crossover market in general, it isn't surprising that their first EV isn't sporty or focusing on blistering straight-line speeds. Another key selling point that Subaru has with the Solterra is that symmetrical all-wheel drive does come standard, once again setting themselves apart from the rest of the competitors in this market, as everyone else offers all-wheel drive as a costly option. This will inevitably position the Solterra as being a top choice for those who live in colder regions of the US, as rivals come standard with front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive. Stepping inside, you're greeted by a mostly Toyota-designed interior, especially when taking a glance at the user interface, which doesn't use the typical Starlink system, and also the full digital gauge cluster that sits atop of the steering column. What is exclusively Subaru on the Limited and Touring trims is the StarTex water-resistant fabric seats that have a premium quality to them, while also being quite supportive. By opting for the Limited, you'll have heated front seats for both the driver and passenger, with the driver's side having power adjustability. The driver will also enjoy the leather-wrapped steering wheel that is heated as well, and this feature is standard for both the Limited and Touring. In front of you is a 7-inch digital instrument cluster, and by using the buttons mounted on the steering wheel, you can scroll through a variety of information, from the safety settings, power consumption, adaptive cruise control, and you can also customize the layout of this display for a minimal look if you so desire. Then moving over to the infotainment system, you'll have a 12.3-inch touchscreen for the Limited, with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, to go along with onboard navigation, which you can subscribe to before activating this feature. As you can probably tell from the screen to the buttons for your climate control settings and heated seats and steering wheel mounted below, this is all Toyota. Yet with that being said, the resolution, quality, and menu layout is certainly better than what we've experienced with the Volkswagen ID.4 and is far more user-friendly than other head units in this segment. By upgrading from the Premium, you'll have a top view camera to go along with front and rear backup cameras with trajectory to provide better visibility when backing into parking spots on city streets, but also when maneuvering this vehicle around in tight situations. Continuing onto the center console, you'll find the buttons for your park assist features, camera systems, drive mode, X mode, and traction control on the right. And likely unfamiliar to you is the gear selector, which does take some time to get used to. Initially, you may think to immediately twist the dial to the right to get the Solterra into drive. However, you will need to push down on the dial first, then twist right or left to move forward or backward. And then when parking, Press down on the dial to put this EV in neutral, and then press the park button. Besides that minor learning curve, the interior is nicely laid out, and trendy in the 2020s is the pass-through beneath the center console, where you will have two USB-C inputs and a place to put a bag or smaller items. There will be a wireless phone charging pad conveniently placed next to you. And to round out the front seating area, you'll have a small storage compartment for a wallet or a smartphone. Lastly, if you want a moonroof, you will have to opt for the top trim Touring. Now moving on to the second row, what you are going to notice is that this vehicle feels very conventional and family friendly. It's going to have the same interior spacing as what you're going to experience with a Subaru Forester, Volkswagen Tiguan, and Toyota RAV4. Interestingly enough, and we see this a lot with EVs, that the battery placement and also the dual electric motors does take away from overall practicality, and sometimes you see that with interior spacing. But the Solterra is a very different story. Now starting off on the passenger side, this seat has been adjusted all the way back and is somewhat on a recline. And I have plenty of legroom here. Now keep in mind, I'm not the tallest person out there, I'm around 5'5". However, if you're on the height of 5'8" or 5'9", and you're sitting behind someone around the height of 6 feet tall, you're going to feel very comfortable and you're not going to feel claustrophobic at all. A lot of it is because of the amount of legroom, but also a good amount of shoulder room and headroom as well. Now, I do think that if you do plan on going on some road trips with some family and friends, you can fit 3 people back here comfortably, which I am going to demonstrate. Now, moving on to that center seat, you are going to have a little bit of a center hump, but nothing too aggressive. And because of this vehicle's width, I think you can fit a third person back here on a longer drive, which sometimes you don't see in the compact crossover market, and also something we don't see with the Volkswagen ID.4 and Ford Mustang Mach-E. I still feel those vehicles are just a bit too small to be a vehicle you can fit 5 people overall. But honestly though, I think this vehicle is very comfortable, especially with this premium upholstery, and it just feels very welcoming and accommodating, which is really fantastic to see for Subaru's first EV. Then moving over to the driver's side, this seat is adjusted to someone of my height, around 5'5", and I can just sit back here, relax, and enjoy the driving experience. Again, it just feels like the Toyota RAV4 and Subaru Forester in so many ways, not only when it comes to interior spacing, but also that ground clearance as well. And it's just blurring the lines between being conventional, but also futuristic. And I think that's why a lot of buyers are definitely going to love what the Solterra is offering. Now, the model we have today is a limited, so that means we have 3 double heated outboard seats, 2 USB-C inputs, 2 rear air vents, and rounding out the second row seating area, you do get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. Now, coming around to the back, you're going to receive a power liftgate. And inside, behind the second row seats, you're looking at right around 29 cubic feet of room, which is pretty much identical to all the Solterra's closest rivals, such as the EV6, Ioniq 5, Ford Mustang Mach-E, and Volkswagen ID.4. Don't let the exterior design fool you with the Sportback rear fascia. This cargo area is very deep and wide. Now, some journalists have been focusing on the fact that you can't stack up as much items when it comes to vehicles in this market that are more conventional looking with that roofline. But honestly, I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. If you're going on a road trip with the family, I think you'll be able to fit 5 to 6 bags of luggage, if not more, which is great to see because I think that the Solterra is probably one of the more family-friendly crossovers I've reviewed so far in this market. Then with the second row seats full, you're looking at right around 60 cubic feet. So it falls right in line once again with the Ford Mustang Mach-E and Volkswagen ID.4. And maybe if you're going on a skiing and snowboarding trip, you'll be able to fit those skis and snowboards. So I just think this vehicle is very versatile in many ways, not only when it comes to the off-road capability, but also its practicality as well. Then beneath the floor mat, you will have an additional storage compartment for some smaller items, such as maybe a couple water bottles, car detail equipment, or a first aid kit. But because of the shape that this cargo area is, I would say probably your charging cables. So that way, if you are going on that road trip, you have a nice secure place for those cables. And then finally, you also have the indentations for your rear cargo cover. So that way, if you have valuable items and you leave this vehicle unattended for a while, you can have them back here and have that peace of mind knowing that nobody will be able to peek in and steal what you have. And then once you're done, just press the button and the liftgate will close automatically. So to wrap up this quick walk around for the 2023 Subaru Solterra, what are my initial impressions for this EV crossover? I think there's a lot to genuinely like about this vehicle for a few reasons, and it's mostly because of my geographical location living up here in the Northeast. When you compare the Solterra to its closest rivals, such as the Ford Mustang Mach-E, Volkswagen ID.4, Kia EV6, and Ioniq 5, there's a lot of things missing, at least in base form, that they're not offering, but the Solterra is giving you right off the bat. You have all-wheel drive coming standard and 8.3 inches of ground clearance, which right then and there, you have enough buzzwords to get people walking into a showroom and possibly buying this vehicle, especially for people who live up here in the Northeast and colder regions of the US. To me, it seems that the EV market, at least initially, has really been filled with vehicles that are designed and engineered to fit the lifestyles of people who live in California and warmer climates, because the Volkswagen ID.4, Ford Mustang Mach-E, and others in this price range have lower ground clearances that might not work for people who encounter snow and winter road conditions, whereas the Solterra gives you that. But also it's a crossover that you can go off-road with, and that's a first in this price range and segment. What I also like too is that the way this interior is designed and laid out, it's very unique, but also even though you have a lot of technology for the cabin, you still have physical buttons on the center console, which I really like, and I think a lot of Subaru owners and Subaru buyers are going to enjoy as well. Also, when it comes to practicality, you have right around 30 cubic feet of room behind the second row seats, which falls right in line with everyone else in this market. But also you have plenty of room for the second row seating area for taller passengers. And I just think that this vehicle has a lot of intangibles and a lot of selling points at around $47,000. Just makes it a no-brainer for a lot of Americans, especially Americans with families. And it's just doing the things that the Ford Mustang Mach-E and Volkswagen ID.4 are just not giving you. Now, you can say that the Solterra doesn't have the most amount of range, it's not the most efficient. However, compare that to the Ford Mustang Mach-E, where if you want to get the extended range battery, you're spending an additional $11,200 on the premium trim, and that is not available for Select. So in the long run, if you're going to add on packages, you want to go with a more top trim for a Solterra, you're still saving a good amount of money. So I think that's why a lot of people are coming into Subaru dealers and buying these, because you can't find a lot of Solterras available at dealer lots, and especially here at Subaru of Wakefield, every single one that's come in has sold. So hopefully I'll be able to get my hands on one that isn't sold in the near future, so I can take it out for a test drive and do a more thorough review. But all in all, I really like what Subaru and Toyota has designed and engineered here, and I'm really looking forward to spending more time with this crossover later in 2023. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Boston Autoblog so you can see what I'm up to and what vehicles I'll be featuring in the future. And I will see you guys next time.